Here, gonna bring you game 2 of this round 2 game between our players Apple and Omni. In the first game, Omni actually took away the game with a very fast 4-gate. Apple tried to 3-gate robo, got his immortal out just in time, and force-felled the ramp. Force-felled, is that how you pronounce it? Force-felled the ramp twice, got his immortal out, but unfortunately there weren't enough supporting units, and Omni actually just overran him eventually. Remember, this is from the Gamecom Open tournament, so if you don't know what that is, check them out at gamecom.plantronics.com/sc2. It's an open tournament where everyone is free to register. There are $2,000 in prizes at the end for the final 8. It is open to pros and amateurs alike, and these are on-demand casts, so I will cast the games that are sent in to me by any kind of players. So these players were nice enough to send me their games, and I am pleasured to cast them. So this is a loser's pick, so Apple actually chose a Tal'Darim altar for this next map. These two players going for very similar openings to their first game. Apple's gateway just a bit sooner than Omni's right now. Omni actually gonna try and wall off with a forge in the front of his base here, so we might be seeing a fast expo from this player, and that will give him the better economy compared to Apple, but Apple might be able to put on a lot of pressure if there aren't any cannons, or aren't enough cannons actually to defend this. So in this tournament, we actually have a few pros. I did ask them for the replays of the rounds they will play. I got one from Check6 Cheesy, so hopefully I will be casting those later on today and uploading them. Hopefully we will see his progression through the tournament. The probe actually blocking the gateway here unintentionally, but very nicely delaying that just a bit and actually canceling that gateway because there was a little hole here in the wall. Now throwing down a cannon behind this, and he really needs to wall the rest of this off, or else he is very vulnerable to some attacks. Only one gateway and first sentry being chrono boosted out by Apple, so using those sentries defensively for now. He already has 2 gases compared to the 0 gas of his opponent, so there won't be any stalkers or zealot in time here for Omni. Will he be able to hold this? If Apple actually decides to 4-gate behind this, he really needs to take this probe out before he does any kind of tech choice. Walling it in with the force field here. Nice control by Apple. Now he can choose his tech. We will see what he decides to do. Throwing down a robo facility and a gateway once again, so it will be 3-gate robo, or actually 2-gate robo. He might decide to expand behind this. We'll just have to see what he does with his next 150 minerals. During that time, the second base for Omni is already up. His wall is complete. He will most likely throw down a pylon here just to wall the rest off, and actually throwing down a cannon in front here. Very odd. I guess he wants to prevent some stalkers from shooting this forge without getting damaged themselves, but now 4 cannons. This will be a very strong fortress. I don't think that Apple will be able to throw this down. Maybe with an immortal if it's very well placed with great force fields to prevent any kind of units from actually attacking his own units. He might be able to take this down, but we'll just have to wait and see. This cybernetics core just now starting to research the warp gate technology, so it is very late. It is getting chrono boosted out. Fortunately for him, he does have this expansion up, and you will see him getting such an economy lead here in this game. As soon enough, he can produce double the probes. So remember, as soon as the second base is saturated, if Apple doesn't actually hit in time, he will just be overwhelmed by units after this. Now 1 sentry coming up from Omni. He does have his double gas. Still not getting his 3rd and 4th gas at his expansion. He does not need it, as he only has 1 gateway for now. Throwing down 2 more gateway. He desperately needs more units, because if this attack comes anytime soon, he won't have any units to defend. Only 4 cannons and a sentry right now. He needs that warp gate to finish so he can warp in reinforcements. This pylon, he can even warp in a zealot here on the high ground if he has vision of that, so this is very dangerous. He does have an observer out already, so expect a zealot to be warped in here anytime soon and do huge damage because there are only 2 sentries. Remember, sentries are not very good attacking unit. They can just force field, and that's pretty much it. Force field and guardian shield is all they can do here, and deciding to warp on the low ground, maybe he can't actually reach up here, but he really should send some zealots on the high ground, and I feel they could do huge damage. Now actually intercepting these 2 probes. Little blunder here by Omni, and he will face this big army push. With the Immortal here, it will do huge damage against these front cannons, and then it can just actually hit the Forge without being hit themselves, so we'll just have to see what he does. Apple finally warping in the Zealot here, gonna start hacking away at these probes. Now throwing down more cannons for Omni, warping in some Stalkers, and this is where it gets dangerous. If Apple can actually plow through this wall, he's gonna lose 1 sentry without actually using its energy. So these sentries should be in back and not taking the damage. This Immortal doing huge damage to the cannons, actually taking down 3 cannons already, and this 3rd cannon will hold off the rest of this push. A few units here will take care of that Zealot finally, and he managed to kill 9 probes. So 9 probe losses here by Omni, so he didn't realize that the Zealot was hacking away. He was distracted by this front push. Now that this Forge in danger of going down, he can actually hit it without being hit himself by the cannons in back. That Forge going down right before the upgrade finishes, that is huge because now Omni does not have the +1 advantage. Nice force field trapping more units, so Apple is really looking good in this game. He is going to fall back a bit, and I feel like he should really continue this push because he is way behind on economy, and if he does not break through this, it might look very bad for him in the late game. Now 2nd Immortal out will do huge damage. This is really hard for Omni to actually just hold off, and he is targeting down the Cybernetics core right now. I wonder what Omni will try to do here. He is going to lose all these buildings. These 3 cannons in front might start doing a bit of damage, but they cannot move, so as long as nothing is in range there, he cannot do anything. Apple deciding to pull back, this is not wise because the economy, as I said, for Omni will be a lot better. He should really push forward here with this army. He can easily take this out, especially since he has 2 Immortals compared to only 1 for Omni. If he actually pushed before that Immortal was here, he could have done huge damage. Now deciding to distract with the Zealots and actually maybe push in front here, and as this game goes on, really Apple is losing his advantage, and now Omni actually has more supply and more economy than Apple. Is on the low ground here taking a few useless shots, and now actually the game is looking a lot better for Omni. I do believe he will be able to hold this with his next round of reinforcements, throwing down 3 more gateways and a Cybernetics core that he lost in back. Apple will try and shoot up here the assimilator, but only 2 Stalkers actually shooting will take a long time to kill it, and this is not a big loss for Omni. He now has a huge economic advantage. We see that Apple is way oversaturated on this base. He did not get his 2nd base out just yet, so he is really banking on this attack to work. He is all in, definitely. Now with these 2 more gateways finishing up and warping into warp gates, he will be able to actually reinforce this a lot faster than Apple, and Apple is not looking good in this game. He needs to push and he needs to do something, and I don't feel like it's going to be enough. This army is just going to overwhelm his own army, losing a cannon in front, but not too big of a deal. Now he really should expand or double expand here, because if he keeps pushing this game forward, he will just fall more and more behind, and this is just going to come down to one final engagement and positioning. There are 3 Immortals here. for Apple, so he does have the advantage here, but not anymore. Omni actually just reinforced with another Immortal, and 4 more Stalkers warping in will be able to take this out. With the Zealots in front, they will be able to tank a lot of damage, while the rest of the units deal the damage. Engaging with the cannons here too will have huge advantage for Omni. Actually, nice force field blocking the units from actually attacking. So this might be enough for Apple to take this, but this is just way too many units by Omni. Even if he loses a couple, he can now push away this army, and as soon as he pushes across the map, he will be able to ravage this base. Apple still on 1 base, not where you want to be. Now the advantage is clearly in favor of Omni. 94, 273 supply for him. Now just engaging this army, taking out the Immortals. It is now 2 Immortals to only 1, and that one is gone. And Apple GG's out of here. And Omni will take 2-0 this series, and we'll be moving on to the tournament. So Omni, hopefully you will keep sending me your games because I enjoy casting them.